In this video, I'll be sharing my experience of a 10-day Vipassana meditation course and why I decided to leave after 5 days of the course. This video might be useful for you if you're considering going on a Vipassana, or if you're just curious about what a Vipassana is, or just curious to hear a bit of a strange story, because it is a bit of a strange story to go on a silent meditation course and spend that period of time in silence away from society. It's just a bit of a weird story. So firstly, what is Vipassana? So Vipassana means to see things as they are, and the Vipassana meditation technique is designed to do just that, to see things as they are. So it's a Buddhist meditation technique, and I'll include further information about the history and lineage of the technique in the description below if you're interested in learning about that. So when you first get there at the meditation centre, you are given a leaflet that tells you more about the technique itself, and it gives you a code of discipline and rules to follow while you're on the course. And so just to give you an idea of what kind of rules that you have to follow, the main one is noble silence. So silence of speech, body and mind. So no communication of any type, even like bodily communication. So if someone holds the door open, the thing that I found weirdest was, if someone holds the door open, I at least would like nod. Even that is breaking the noble silence, because that's still communicating with your body. There's a period in the day where you can talk to the teachers, and you can request to see them outside of the teaching schedule if you really need to. You're not allowed to practice any other technique, any other meditation technique or practice. No physical yoga, no exercise. You are solely there to learn and practice the Vipassana meditation technique. And you can't bring anything with you, like phones, journals, anything to play music with, to write down with, is all stored in a locker before the course starts. So it's quite intense. So there's a few other rules to follow, things like the separation between men and women. So the men are in one part of the facility, and then I call it facility, I don't know why. Men are in one part of the centre, and then the women are in another part of the centre. And there's a meditation hall where you all come together, but the men are on one side and the women are on the other side, and you come in separate entrances. So that's a brief sort of outline of the rules. There's more in there, and I think they do list them on their website. The timetable is on the back, so this gives you an idea of what the timetable is each day. So to give you an idea, there's a 4 a.m. morning wake-up bell. So at 4 a.m. the course facilitators go around the centre with a gong to wake you up, which is actually quite a nice way to wake up. And so that's 4 a.m. 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. is meditation in the hall or in your room. So most people, myself included, would choose to go and meditate in the hall, because if you stay in your room at 4:30 a.m, you're probably just going to fall back asleep, and you're not there for that long, and you're there to make the most of the experience. So most people did go to the hall, although numbers do drop as the days go on. 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. is breakfast break. The breakfast is pretty good actually, like you get quite a lot of selection. Like I actually probably had a better breakfast there than I do at home. And just to say as well, it's all donations based, so you don't actually pay before you go on this course, and you don't pay for the course. It's run on donations, and you donate, you choose if you want to donate and how much at the end of the course. So I was very grateful for all the food I was given, and the servers there who were, like cooking and serving the food. Again, silence is maintained throughout eating, so you're all eating in this room, but no one can talk. There's no talking. You just hear people eating, hear plates and cutlery. That was probably the weirdest thing to get used to, was sitting and eating in silence and hearing everyone else eat in silence. It was very strange, weird experience, but you do quickly adjust to it, and then it becomes quite normal and actually quite nice. So after breakfast, surprise, surprise, it's meditation again from 8 a.m. to noon, meditation. Then you have a lunch break for an hour, and then you have an hour's rest where you can walk around the grounds or just, like chill in your room. Well, there's nothing to actually do in your room. You can just sit there or lie there. But during that hour's rest period, you can go and request to speak to the teacher if you have any questions that arise in your practice. So after rest period from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m, meditation, surprise, surprise. And then 5 to 6 is a tea break where you it's not a proper meal. The tea break is fruit and I think it was fruit and tea and coffee and juice. Yes. And after tea break, 6 until 7, again, meditation. And then at 7 till 8:15 p.m, it's a lecture in the meditation hall. So Goenka, who's the teacher, he passed away. I don't know when, but Goenka has passed away, but his teachings is shown on a screen in the meditation hall and during that hour, he talks about the philosophy and principles of the technique so that you understand a bit more about the reasons why it works. And it's quite interesting. I think that was one of my favourite parts of the day, actually. And then after the lecture, it's again meditation until 9 p.m, where you get the chance to ask questions to the teacher. And then 9:30 is lights out, bedtime. So it's quite intense, as you can see. And I thought the best way to share my experience would be to read from my journal. So when I left on day 5, and I'll explain why later. And when I left on day 5, I was given a key to my locker. I went and got my belongings, like my phone, my car key, and more importantly, my journal, because I hadn't been able to journal since I was there. And that was like a big thing for me because I journal a lot. And so once I had left the centre, and I think I pulled over at a service station, and I just started journaling before my memory started distorting things, because like the longer time you wait to recall something, or the more times you recall something, the more distorted the memory gets. So I was like, let's just write this down now quickly. So I thought I'd share my experience. The most accurate way to do it would be to read through my journal. So 6 p.m. on day 5, I released myself from meditation prison early, and it's good to be back. It was the right time for me to leave, and boy was it an experience. I learned a lot about my mind, my meditation practice, and my outlook on life. There's a lot to unpack, so I'll break it down day by day. Day 1, enjoyed day 1, and I remember thinking that this is going to be blissful if it continues like this every day. It was not, obviously. I really enjoyed the forced silence. It was nice to not feel socially obliged to talk. It was nice to have a reason to be silent. And the silence was something I really enjoyed until day 4, when it started to feel unnatural and cold. On day 1, the object of focus for meditation was the flow of respiration in and out of the nostrils, and noticing the sensation of respiration anywhere in or around the nostrils. In or around the nose. What I observed/learned. For the first few hours, I couldn't seem to let my breath just be natural. I was focusing on my belly rather than my nostrils, so focusing on like deep belly breaths to calm my nervous system, which is what I'd been used to doing a lot in my yoga practice. I told the teacher this during question time, and she said, if my mind is on my belly, my mind is not on my nose. It was so obvious what she said, but it really shifted my perspective and made me realise that my mind wasn't focused on the single object of my nose if it was down at my belly. And the meditation basically aimed to make the mind one-pointed, similar to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And this was done by narrowing down your area of focus. So each day our area of focus got smaller in order to make our awareness sharper. Day 2, we was instructed to narrow down our focus to the flow of respiration in and around the outer nostrils. So you're narrowing down your area of focus to just the outer nostrils rather than the whole nose. On day 3, the area of focus was reduced even further to the triangle below the nostrils. This was called Anapana meditation, and it was a really good meditation technique. Goenka explained that the smaller the area of focus, the sharper and more concentrated your awareness becomes. The aim was to make the mind more sharp and awareness more focused, so that you could detect the subtle sensations in your body when it came to practicing the Vipassana. Goenka instructed that we was not controlling the breath, we was to follow the natural respiration as it is. And this was difficult for me at first because when I allowed my breath to become natural, I felt my breath slow right down and I got drowsy and fearful that my breath would stop altogether. So when I raised this to the teacher said my breath naturally slowing down was actually a good thing because the aim was to make the breath subtle so that we could notice subtler sensations. After the full day's meditation, I was able to just let my breath be natural and subtle without stopping it completely. It just happened naturally with practice, a lot of practice. I mean, this was a full day of meditating. It was when I finally could just let my breath be natural and not trying to control or change it. This kind of letting your breath be natural was the opposite of pranayama practice, which is what I'd been used to doing in my yoga practice. It helped me by focusing on the sensation of air around my nostrils as it directed my awareness from trying to control my breath. I noticed that where you place your awareness is so important in meditation. Where your awareness goes, your focus goes, your mind goes, and your energy goes. So like there's that trail of awareness, focus, energy. And it all starts with your awareness, like where are you placing your awareness? This meditation course reminded me of how much practice, patience, and persistence is needed to really progress in your meditation. It requires discipline, alertness, and a lot of patience. It also reminded me how important it is to learn through experience and to learn through practice and actually doing. I also realised that by controlling my breath, I wasn't experiencing the reality as it is in that moment. I was making the reality what I wanted it to be by breathing deeper and controlling my breath. And this wasn't the reality as it is. I was trying to change reality because I wanted my breath to be a certain way, to be deeper and calmer. And when I realised this and let go of controlling my breath, it naturally settled into a steady, natural rhythm. Vipassana is about experiencing reality as it naturally is, without trying to change or control anything, without reacting by clinging to pleasant or positive experiences or pushing away averse or negative experiences. The idea is that by practicing non-reactivity through meditation, you change the habitual patterns of the mind and stop craving or clinging to good things and stop averting or resisting bad things. Goenka would say, observe reality as it is, moment to moment. Observe the breath as it is naturally, moment to moment. Observe the reality as it is. Goenka also spoke about how the Buddha had realised enlightenment and the ultimate reality, that of Dharma, it's what they call Dharma, law of nature, which was beyond mind and matter. This ultimate reality was waves of energy, formless. The whole world was made of energy, vibrations, waves. I don't know if I'm understanding or repeating this correctly, but that's how I understood it as he spoke. But this ultimate reality is what we and everything else is made up of. It is the simplest part of ourself and all other beings. That is why a meditation technique needs to be simple. Simple is key to go from the gross matter of the material world to the subtler nature of the immaterial world and our ultimate self. OMG, I've been writing for over an hour now and I've only got to day 3. I'll come back to this later. Yeah, I'd been writing for a long time, I think. Day 4 was when I started to feel like I should come home. It didn't feel right for me to be there anymore. The Vipassana technique was introduced, which was scanning your body from the crown of your head down to your toes and just noticing any sensations. And the purpose of this was to access the unconscious mind and to allow some skaras to rise to the surface of your awareness. If you don't know what some skaras are, I'll put that in the description below. We was instructed not to move for the entire sit-in of meditation, so not to change posture, not to fidget. I mean, bearing in mind there was very little movement before then, but you wasn't told that you couldn't move, so you could change posture, have a little shift in your body if needed every so often. But at this point, it was a new sort of instruction was introduced to not move, not change posture through the entire sit-in of the meditation. Towards the end of the sit-in, I wanted to adjust my posture, but I didn't feel like I could because the hall was so silent and everyone would hear if I adjusted my posture. I felt very unsafe and constricted. It felt like my agency over my body had been taken away. I felt like a prisoner in my own body. My heart started racing and my body reacted like I was in danger, fight or flight response. My body did not feel safe. I couldn't continue to do the body scanning because I didn't feel safe in my body. So I sat with my head in my hands, repeating to myself, I am safe, to calm my nervous system. So after that experience, I really struggled to meditate in the hall again. And I spoke to the teacher in the evening and told her, and because you can speak to, there's one teacher for the men and there's one teacher for the women, and you can speak to the teacher during your rest period, although there's usually a queue, so you might not be able to speak to them at that time, or you can request to speak to them in the evening if you really have to. And after that experience, I struggled to even stay in the hall because I just no longer felt safe. And I can't exactly remember the details, but I think the next meditation session in the hall, I was just really resistant to it. There was a few other things that also kind of made me want to leave. Like, for example, my roommate had started snoring. So I wasn't sleeping very well because she was snoring. And even though I had earplugs in, I could still hear her snore. And I was really struggling to sleep. And so with the intense days and the early wake-ups and then not getting sleep, that threw me as well. And I don't think that I fully opened myself up and trusted the process and the teacher, and that is so important. And it's not to say that I don't, that's not me condemning the process or the teacher at all. It just means that if you don't fully open yourself up and trust in the practice that you're given and in the teacher that is guiding you in that practice, that is a massive hindrance to your progress in any tradition. So yeah, I spoke to the teacher a few times, and on day 5 we agreed that I would go, and I spoke to the course facilitator, and it was very cloak and dagger how I had to leave, because they were saying, you know, to not disrupt anyone else, really, I shouldn't let my roommate know that I was going. You know, you're sharing rooms, so I was sharing a room with one other girl in like a very small room, 2 single beds next to each other. Like, I could put my arm out and be touching her bed, but I had to leave without her knowing, so I had to wait until she was in the meditation hall or eating, I can't exactly remember what time it was, and just pack all my stuff up and then wait until everyone was in the meditation hall for me to leave. So it felt very cloak and dagger. I really wanted to say goodbye to my roommate. I'd spoke to her when we first arrived. You can speak to people, and so I got to know her a little bit on the first day. She'd come with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend had done the course before. She'd never meditated before, and I was like, fair play, you have come here on this intense meditation course and you've never meditated before, wow, like, yeah, fair play. I really wanted to say goodbye, but I couldn't say goodbye, obviously. I wasn't allowed to, and a part of me wanted to leave her like a little snack, so I'd bought some breakfast bars with me in my suitcase, and I wanted to leave her like a little breakfast bar on her bed as like a goodbye, and almost like a good luck, like you can get through the rest of the course. But that would have still have been breaking on the noble silence, because that's still a form of communication. So yeah, I had to leave without saying bye. Or to wrap this up, is the course for you? Like, if you're considering going on a Vipassana course, this video is not meant to deter you from going on a Vipassana course. It's, you know, an amazing experience, and the fact that it's, you know, like donations based, so I got that whole experience, the food, the accommodation, and you know, I hadn't paid, and they wouldn't accept a donation from me because I didn't finish the course. It's like one of their rules that if you don't finish the course, you don't pay, because they don't feel like you've got the full benefits from it. So they won't accept a donation. They wouldn't accept a donation from me. So I am very grateful for the people that run that course, and you know, Goenka passing down his teachings. It is an amazing course, but it's whether it's for you or not is an individual question to ask yourself. And for me, I don't think it was right for me. I also don't think my reason for going was probably the right reason. So I think that's one thing to consider. If you're thinking about going, what is your reason for going? And is it the right reason? Because your reason for why is what will keep you there for the 10 days. And if you don't have a strong reason, you'll find it very difficult to last the 10 days. So yeah, please do feel free to share any comments, thoughts, experiences in the comments box below. And if you'd like to support my mission of making yoga affordable and accessible, then please do consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you.